時刻はほぼ12時です。この後中庭ではイギリスからお越しのサックス奏者ギラッド・アツモン氏によるサックスの演奏がございます。なかなか見ることのない本当に貴重なプロフェッショナルの演奏をお楽しみいただけます。楽館から向かいまして事務棟側の木の下、今ベンチが集まっておりますけれども、こちらに、ギラッド・アツモン氏いらっしゃっています。隣にいるのはクランキー先生ですね。勘違いをないようになんてねお申し上げまして、ということでこれから、12時40分ぐらいまでのステージというふうになってまいります。次の講義にもねかかりませんので、どうぞ安心してお楽しみください。この後はギラッド・アツモン先生のギラッド・アツモン氏による演奏です。じゃあクランキー先生、would you like to talk something?
Okay, welcome to the 65th talk lecture performance of the Otaru University of Commerce English lecture series. Today we have Mr. Gilad Atzmon. He's come in from London. He's a professional saxophonist, political activist, novelist, writer, all around. Please welcome Mr. Gilad Atzmon.
Are you all okay with English? More or less, yeah? Because I myself, I don't speak English, but I managed to memorize a lot of text. Kind of a joke. Anyway, in this early talk today, I will discuss music and the primacy of the ear. Later today, I don't know, at 6 o'clock?
4 o'clock.
At 4 o'clock, we have another talk that will be kind of more intellectual. And we will deal with the building of cognitive partitions in Western societies, which is very interesting. It's a topic that I'm dealing with at the moment. Now, this was supposed to be kind of a concert. What I'll do, I'll play one tune, and then I will talk to you about my personal history. How did I become a musician, and the things that influenced me as a musician, as an artist, and as a writer. I play a jazz tune. I play a tune called My One and Only Love. Are you a jazz musician?
Yeah.
What do you play?
Tenor saxophone.
You play saxophone?
Yeah.
Great. This was my One and Only Love. It's a famous jazz tune, a jazz ballad. But I'll tell you about my history, my personal history, and that which made me into a jazz musician. I was born in Israel. Have you heard about Israel? It's impossible not to hear about Israel with all the crimes that they are committing. You know, it's very much on the news all the time. I was born in Israel, and believe it or not, I really liked being an Israeli kid. Similar sky, a lot of blue sky, but we didn't have Hokkaido winter. It's pretty much blue sky. I would say 11 months here. Food is great, not as great as Japanese. Girls are very positive. I can't compare it to Japanese culture because I don't know enough yet. And I really believed in the Israeli narrative. I don't know if you know about it. You all understand my language? You managed to understand what I'm saying? Yeah? Are you okay or not? Yeah? Yeah? It's okay? If I speak too fast, you know, you have to tell me. I really believed in this Jewish story of suffering and the promised land and so on and so on, and I was really looking forward to be a soldier and even to die in one of those Israeli wars. Now it's probably sound very strange for you, young Japanese students, but it wouldn't sound that strange for your grandparents who were fighting in World War II. I grew up in a very, very nationalist place, and I really believed in this narrative, and I was very, very patriotic. But then suddenly, pretty much out of the blue, something quite peculiar happened to me when I was 17 years old, 1 year before I joined the army. I heard one night beautiful track on the radio, Charlie Parker. You know Charlie Parker? Bird? I heard Bird with Strings. And it was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. And on the spot, I decided to become a saxophonist. And in the morning, I went to the music shop, and I was lucky. They had 2 vinyls. It was before the CDs. You know, we had albums, turntables, you know, big ones. And on the spot, found 2 Charlie Parker vinyls, 2 albums. And I was very happy with it. And I took it, and on the way home, I looked at in the bus, I looked at the design of the vinyls, and I realized that it was black. And I was very surprised because they always told us that Jews are best in everything. So it's impossible, the guy is black. And then I started to look into other musicians who played, you know, it was Miles Davis and Dizzy Gillespie and Sonny Rollins, and they were all black. So my first instinct was to believe that they were black Jews, but they were not black Jews, they were just black. And I realized that something with this concept of Jewish racism was a bit awkward. I started to play the saxophone, and to my great surprise, it wasn't that complicated. Saxophone is not a very complicated instrument. It's probably the easiest musical instrument. Just to learn, to get get somewhere. And the more I dug into Charlie Parker and into jazz, the more I loved it. And the more I loved it, the less I wanted to die for Israel in a war. I became less and less enthusiastic about Israeli patriotism, and still I had to join the army. In '81, I joined the Israeli army. I still had this kind of pompous attitude of kind of suicidal patriotism, but it wasn't really genuine. And as you probably realize, until now I didn't say a word about Palestine or about Palestinians. We were surrounded by Palestinians, but we didn't see them at all. We were not concerned. They were kind of a bunch of slaves. They were working for us. We didn't notice them. We didn't even realize that we didn't notice them because we didn't notice them. And when I was a soldier, as a soldier, I really tried to do as little as I could, because what I wanted the most was to practice my saxophone. And then, a year later, I was extremely unlucky to find out that Israel went for a war. There was a war, it was the '82 First Lebanon War. It was quite devastating war for Israel. It wasn't easy, it was as difficult as what they face now in Gaza. But what was shocking for me was the fact that I started to see a lot of Palestinians in Lebanon. And I started to realize that the Palestinian people were actually ethnically cleansed from Israel. They were pushed out. I saw a lot of refugee camps, and it started to concern me a lot. I started to realize that I was living in Israel on Palestinian land, something that I wasn't really prepared for. And I then decided, I was 20, 21, I decided that I wouldn't be able to live in Israel. But I was in your age. I wasn't a political human being. Once I left the army, I enrolled to university. I studied philosophy and math. I had a lot of fun. And it took me some time before I realized that really there is no hope for peace. I understood basically in the 90s, in the early 90s, that there is no hope, there is no chance for peace. Because the people around me, the Israelis, were not even aware of the notion of peace. The word shalom, have you heard the word shalom before? The word shalom doesn't mean peace or harmony or reconciliation. What it means is security for the Jews. And in 92, 93, I decided to study in Britain and to do my PhD in philosophy in Britain. A few years later, I was very happy in Britain and I became very successful saxophonist. But a few years later, there was the second Intifada, the second Palestinian uprising. This was the first time for me, the first time I saw Israeli brutality, Israeli aggression in the eyes of the other. So I saw it through the BBC, through the Guardian, through the CNN. Because when I was in Israel, I saw everything through Israeli news network. But this was the first time I saw how I'm seen by others. And I was pretty I was pretty devastated by it. And then I came up with, I thought at the time, a genius idea. Obviously it wasn't that clever. I came with an idea. I really thought that I could introduce peace. What I did, I took Arabic music, I took Israeli nationalist music, Israeli tunes, and I Palestinized them. I made them into Arabic music. Now at the time, I could play pretty much in every style of music. I could play classical music, jazz, I could play tango. I can probably play a bit of Japanese music as well. But when it came to Arabic music, I was extremely bad. I wasn't good at all. I didn't manage to produce the tone, the spirit, which was a big shock for me because I grew up in Palestine. I heard Arabic music all over me. It took me 2-3 months to start to play jazz. There was no problem there. It would take me minutes to learn how to play classical tunes. But Arabic music that I heard all my life was very, very difficult for me to produce. Now, the story is very simple. Jazz. Jazz is quite simple. A lot of notes, but there is kind of a melody there. We understand what it is. The relationship between jazz and other music, classical music, is very obvious. Yeah? If I want to jazz it up. It's very simple. It is simple. I know that it takes. Could you hear that they are related? I'll give you something Japanese, something that I heard in Tokyo, where like, here we go. How is konnichiwa? Can you sing it for me for a second? Do you know what it is? So don't be shy. But the beginning? Yeah? 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 So you can hear the, sorry, I couldn't remember just, it's unusual the way it starts. Yeah, anyway, the relationship between jazz music and other classical, Japanese, Indian, is quite obvious. It's more groove-oriented, different kind of energy, but still we are dealing with 12 notes. And 4/4 time signature. It's familiar. But when it comes to Arabic music, it's basically sometimes just one note for 20 minutes. It's more complicated, or definitely longer than Konnichiwa. Sometimes just the beginning, just the introduction is 25 minutes before the song starts. Not really ideal for commercials on TV. It's going to cost a lot of money. And I tried to play this music, and I was already a very established musician, and it didn't sound right. It sounded very, very wrong. And I didn't really know what to do about it, but it was very concerning because I really heard this music all my life. How is it possible that I am, as a talented musician, didn't manage to internalize any of that sound? And I started to realize that this is the real meaning of chosenness, of supremacy, when you really don't listen to other people. And without really realizing, I found a technique to use in order to learn this style of music. I started to sing through the saxophone. Whoa, with that. Whoa, that. I tried to emulate, to copy the sound of the muezzin in the mosque. Allahu Akbar. Whoa, that. Instead of all the quarter tones in Arabic music, we have more than 12 notes. We have in between, we have quarter tones. And the more I did it, the better I became. And I started to realize that there is a very big difference between Western thinking about music and in general, and Oriental or Arabic. Who plays an instrument here? Classical instrument, piano, violin, saxophone. Do you play any instruments? You're so shy. Yeah. It's better than being Shylock. When you go to study a musical instrument, saxophone, piano, violin, the first thing that they do, usually, they put manuscript, music in front of you. And they tell you, this is C, this is D, this is 4/4. And basically, they train you how to transform visual content into musical content. So music in the West is always is visually oriented. But we don't play music because of the way it looks or how it looks. We play music because of its sound. We like the sound of it. In Arabic music, we do not have notation. Instead of notation, we have the ear. We have to close our eyes. Do you play jazz, by the way? Come here. Is it a classic guitar or electric? So you cannot. It's small. Open it up. So you can play a bit acoustic, yeah? Okay. So basically, in jazz, sorry, in Arabic music, okay, we'll do it in a second. Okay, you can even put it here, yeah. In Arabic music, you really have it all in the ear. What I did, I really started to learn how to sing, how to hear the melody before I played. And then I started to realize that the real issue that we lost in the West, and I don't know how it is in Japan, we really lost the contact with the ear, with the ability to close our eyes and to understand what is happening for real. Now, this is not just about music. This is about ethics. To be an ethical human being is not to believe what they show you in the paper. Is the ability to close your eyes and to think authentically and autonomously about what is right and what is wrong. So for me, I went through a transformation as a musician that helped me to understand as a philosopher where is the problem in Western thinking the way it is now. We are too much visually oriented and lost the ability to listen to music, to listen to Arabic music, but also to listen to the Palestinians now, or in America, to listen to millions of poor people. To start to listen. There's something that was so rooted in Western thinking really disappeared in the last 200 years, a lot due to technology, but many other reasons as well. But back to music, I realized that when I teach music, which I do occasionally, I realized that most young musicians don't listen anymore. They know how to read music, they know how to read chords, symbols, but they cannot really hear what they're playing. I'll give you an example. It's good. The way I learned to do it, we will do it in a second. Very good ears. What I really learned to do and to teach, I would play blues, and I would have a dialogue with myself. For instance, okay? And now let's play a blues together.
Yeah. What is
In F. Okay? One, and two, and 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay. One, two, three. Bo be be bo be ba bo be be. Bo be be bo 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 be ba. Bo be 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 bo be ba. Be be ba. Bo be 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 ba. Bo be 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 ba.
아,違う。
Bo ba ba de bop. Bo ba ba de bop. Be 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 ba boo bop. Yeah. Be ba boo ba boo bop. Be boo ba doo bop. Be boo be 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 bop. Be bop. Be bop. Be bop. Now, we can do it all together. You know, we can do it all together, and this is the real meaning of the primacy of the ear. One, a two, a one, two, boop, beep, boop, ba, beep. Boop, beep, boop, ba, beep. Boop, beep, boop, ba, beep. Boop, beep, boop, beep, bop. 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 Boop, beep, beep, bop. Do beep, beep, bop with guitar. Boop, beep, beep, bop. Boop, beep, bop, bop. Boop, bop, beep, bop. Boop, bop, beep, bop, bop. Boop, beep, beep, boop, bop, boop, beep, bop. Bop, bop, beep, beep, boop, beep, bop. Ba, do, ba, boo, ba. Very good. Very good. They're good, huh? You're very gifted. Definitely more than anything I see written. You know, you're shy, but then you produce. It's quite amazing. Anyway, so this is something that I realize that we really lost in our culture, in universities. The capacity to be intuitive, to think intuitively, to think ethically, rather than fulfill tasks. And the way to do it, I just want to see how do we do it. Okay, we have another 13 minutes, yeah?
Yeah, we're good.
Be good. I hope that I was clear. I tried to simplify my English, which is not very simple because, as I said, I hardly speak the language. So I hope that you understood more or less what I'm trying to achieve here. You are a great musician, man. Yes, you have very good ears. Now, do you have any questions?
Anyone have any questions? Good.
Questions? I'm usually very annoying, but today I don't know. The attempt to simplify my message made it very, slightly less annoying. No questions? Yeah. Okay, this is a very good question. The way I practice and you can develop on that front, is, there are a lot of methods, that I can show you, but it's probably not interesting for the rest of them. What I found to be the most helpful is to have a dialogue between yourself and the instrument. So for instance, one thing that I would do with saxophone, but you can do it with guitar, I would think, for instance, like a big band. You know what is a big band? The big band kind of with 5 saxophones and 4 trombones and 4 trumpets. Yeah? And I would decide to have a dialogue between the trombones and the saxophones. All right? So I take the same blues. Will you play with me? In F. 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, boo, baby, boo, boo, bap. Oh, baby, boo, bow. Way back. Way back. Way back. Way back. Boom, 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 bum, 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 boom, 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 boom. And then you develop it, and get again into more and more sophisticated structures. And this is the most crucial way. Now, but I'll say something now that is slightly more abstract, but this is something that could help all of you. And it's not just about how to become a better improviser or a better jazz musician. It's also about becoming a better academic, a better physicist, a better mathematician, a better philosopher, a better in whatever you want to do. In order to improve, to get better, you have to do 3 things. First, you have to identify your problems. You have to say, as a guitar player, my time is not good. Maybe, I don't know. My ears are not good. You have to be honest enough to admit to yourself where are your problems. Okay? This is very difficult. If you are a mathematician, you should be able to admit to yourself that you have some difficulties with certain issues. If you are an historian, you have to admit to yourself if you have a certain problem, for instance, with memorizing dates. The first and most important thing one can do is identify one's problem. Yeah, I think I have a problem. This is my problem. It's very difficult. Most people cannot do it. Most people try to conceal the fact that they have a problem. They don't want to admit it. They repress it. Once you identify your problems, come to number 2. Number 2 is developing your own tactics, your own technique, your own strategy that would help you to deal with your problems. So if you have a problem with time, you have to buy a metronome. You can get it now on the iPhone, very cheaply, and you just learn to play 1, 2, 3, 4, and you learn to do conocolo, or you learn to walk on rhythm. If you have a problem with the ears, you have to learn to sing pa hee ha hee ha hee, or one thing that I'm doing. Yeah. So for instance, I do scales. I sing them and playing. and then 5, 6. Okay?
Oh.
There are a lot of things that we can do. You develop your own strategy. You don't go to a teacher. The role of the teacher is not to give you a strategy, but to teach you how to develop your own strategy. Martin Heidegger, the great German philosopher, taught us that to teach is to teach the student how to learn. Okay? So number 1, identify your problems. Number 2, you develop your own strategy. You develop your own strategy. Number 3, keep at it, work on it. And this is why the more one of the reasons that I don't teach in music anymore in kind of academia is because really I can teach everything I know, and I just did, in 3 minutes. I wouldn't know what to do with students for more than a year. This is what it is. If you want to be a better musician, a better linguist, a better philosopher, a better mathematician, 1, identify your problems. 2, develop your own strategy to deal with your problems. 3, keep at it. That's all. That's all I know. Simple, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you're lucky I don't charge you for it. But you know, which is very un-Jewish of me, non-Jewish of me. Any more questions?
Any other questions? We're good? Okay.
I don't know how we are doing with time.
We're good?
If no question, we will play one tune. What is your favorite?
How about
Oh! Yeah.
too
Too fast, huh?
like
Okay, we are going to do it. Okay. No. You sit because Donnelly, I have to stand. With respect to Charlie Parker. We are doing something unique. We need your help because it's a complicated tune. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Your problem is that you're playing and doing that. If you just do 2 and 4, like that, 1, a 2, a 1, 2, Let's try to play together when you do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's it. If you learn to play, everything you play with 2 and 4 in the feet, you will improve a lot. I promise.
you.
Pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.